I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
It's me, Iggy Timey, your guy. We've got like 2 more weeks in, and then we're gonna take a little break after that. So I really am looking forward to us being together for this last 2 weeks, and this week is no different. It's gonna be pretty awesome. But if you're watching along or you catch this later and you really enjoy it, I really want to invite you to hit that like button, smash the notification so you get notified when we're going to be kicking out some new material and new content, because we will sooner or later get around to that, and it's going to be worth your time. I really think that you're going to enjoy it. We're going to revamp over the summertime. So after next week, I'm going to take some time off. We're going to look at maybe doing pre-recordings and doing some different stuff, inviting some new guests to hang out with us. And we're going to experiment and try some really cool stuff. So if you want to be able to stay up with us, especially since we're going to take a summer break so you know when to come back, make sure you are hit the notification, smash the like button, and follow us here on our YouTube channel or on Facebook, as well as on Instagram. That way you'll always know when we're doing stuff. That'd be really cool, right? Okay, so this week I'm hanging out with this cat right here. Elder, sister, pastor, master of all things, Jillian Lutes. We're gonna have a great time together. She's pretty fantastic. She's brilliant. She's well-read. She's got a heart for ministry. She works hard. This girl is always grinding to make sure that she cares for the flock. If you don't know a female pastor and you needed to get to know someone, I would suggest connecting with this homie, because she's really thoughtful. She's got a deep passion and love for the church, for the foremothers and fathers, and she's just really interesting to hang out with. I've been blessed to watch her just launch off into ministry, and it's great. So we're gonna have a great conversation with her today. Hang in with us. Make sure you drop in some comments, ask some questions, hang out, and enjoy our time together, because I guarantee you're gonna like this. She's gonna talk about quite a few things and some unexpected things as well. So if you've been thinking you knew everything we're gonna talk about, you don't. We're gonna talk about it all coming up here on Tuesday. Tea time. Right. Lo and behold, Jillian Lutes, welcome on.
Hello, Icky. Thank you for that introduction. I'm blushing over here.
It is great to be associated with the most amazing pastor, Elder Jillian Spencer Lutes. How goes things?
Going pretty well. It is such a pleasure to be here on Tea Time again, and to just have some time this afternoon with my friend Icky Timey and with everyone who's watching. Hey,
with the randoms who's catching with us. If you're catching up with us, great. If you're watching this on the replay, welcome. We're gonna be hanging out and talking as usual for the past 15 months or so. I have started every one of these tea times asking one question. It should be very familiar to you. Jillian, what are you drinking today?
Well, what I have today is a vanilla protein smoothie.
Wow, very healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, is that a drink or is that a meal?
It's a drink. Ever since I started working out more again, my body's just been getting hungry for more protein and such, and so I've been incorporating this in as a mid-morning or mid-afternoon snack.
Yes, my hero. That's pretty cool. Very good. Today I'm drinking air, and it's pretty tasty because I'm not where I'm usually at, so my cup isn't near me. It's around here somewhere. But be assured that I had some coffee just before we came on together, so I'm awake
right.
and aware.
You're awake.
So, Jillian, can you tell us a little bit about what your ministry role is right now in life, just for those who may not know you specifically or your ministry calling?
All right. So for the last 5 years, I have been the associate youth pastor at West Covina Hills. About a month ago, my senior pastor said goodbye. He's actually playing his way.
Away?
He's actually playing. He's actually on his way to Michigan to teach at the seminary, and he's playing volleyball in every new state and posting it and making us all jealous that we're not on the road with him. So for that, until West Covina picks a new lead pastor, I am it. I am solo for the time being.
Hey, you got this, my girl. Yeah, yes.
Thanks, man.
And shout out and some love to
This is the second time at this church. This is the second time.
One more time, and they're going to have to just lock this up, Jillian. And
Right.
3 times, like they say, that's not luck. And shout out to your guy, Rogelio Pecchini, who's been playing volleyball across the country. We've been watching him. If you've been catching up with him, he's been posting it out on Facebook, and we wish him the best of journeys. He did not die. He's actually going to the cemetery, the seminary, to teach. Fantastic. So your current ministry role then is interim senior pastor at the West Covina Hills SDA Church.
Solo lead. We don't use the word senior very much over there. Pastor Pecchini was the one who stopped calling it senior and referred to himself as lead. I guess he didn't want to feel old. So I guess everyone's lead pastor from now on. Right.
Nice. And now, so you're the solo lead pastor. And you've been doing ministry for how many years have you been in ministry now?
So it depends on where you start counting.
Yeah.
But Icky, you spoke at my graduation in 2011, and a few months later I was your coworker.
Yeah, that is wild. I mean, I graduated in 2012. No, I
right?
Didn't. But wow, so 2012. So you've been in the ministry for almost a decade now.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. And you have been. How long have you been at West Covina?
5 years.
5 years, man.
5 years.
That is approximately half of your professional experience has been with that body, with that family. They're blessed to have you.
Yep.
Can I ask you, Jillian, was there a single event from your childhood that you could think of that was impactful in impressing you to go into ministry?
So it's a long story, and I'm kind of the queen of long stories, but to make a longish... So I felt stirrings towards the ministry when I was very little, very, very little. I was still at La Crescenta Valley Academy. Any other alumni out there?
Woo!
Let's mourn it together.
Right, mourn it together.
And I remember feeling stirrings towards the ministry then, and then being told, oh, you'd have to be a politician. I wasn't quite sure what a politician was, but it didn't sound like fun. Now that I know what a politician is, it really doesn't sound like fun. Right. But I always had these stirrings about wanting to help people and about wanting a close connection with God. A very focused, close connection with God. But the idea of professional ministry was kind of an abstract one for quite some time. I was 12 years old. I was in the habit of attending Redwood Camp Meeting with my grandparents. Anyone out there go to Redwood Camp Meeting? It is the best camp meeting. Other camp meetings pretend to be camp meetings, but at Redwood, you actually drag all your stuff to the middle of the woods and camp.
Literally,
there is no hotel for Redwood.
No.
It is actually the middle of the woods and some of the most beautiful scenery California, the most beautiful state in the country, has to offer. And I'm just a little biased here. So I was walking through the woods at Redwood Camp Meeting. I had just been listening to other kids my age talk about all these things they were going through that was just so awful. And I was thinking, Lord, what can be done for them? And I actually heard a voice.
Yes. Wow.
5 words, only 5 words. And they were a vague 5 words, but they were enough to shove me in the right direction. And they were, you can speak to them. So those 5 words leave a lot of room for interpretation. And I tried so hard to find loopholes out of it. Even over the next day or two, I remember giving God excuses like, I'm too young. And I remembered then it was brought to my mind Ellen White was 17 when she started her public ministry. I was thinking, but I'm a girl. And that was something else. She's like, Deborah, come on. Yeah, Deborah.
Right.
Deborah. So I was like, okay. The way I got out of that conversation was speak to them is vague enough to refer to either teaching or pastoral ministry. So 2 years later, a truly bizarre thing happened. Unnatural thing, you could call it. I was on my first mission trip to Peru with my brother. And what we didn't know as we boarded the plane together was that, it was my first mission trip. It was his last. He was a well-loved student leader on campus. He was the religious vice president. He was just really charismatic and really beloved by all. And he was so strong. So on this trip, he was both preaching and doing construction. So he was like shoveling the stuff for cement by day and preaching by night. Wow. And we have a great trip. I'm running the VBS because everyone else is too scared to put themselves out there with 1 semester of high school Spanish.
Right. And
the last day of the trip, I'm actually up there because they had the VBS crew go join the construction crew for this last full day of the trip. We've had a great trip. The people of Cascas are great, just incredible. And some guys decide to go on a hike. And my brother goes to join them, and I'm like, I'm going to go hike. And he says, no, you're not. And I'm like, and why not? He's like, there'll be stronger hikers than you on that hike. And I'm like, nonsense. Right. You've seen me shred up Half Dome with you every summer since I was 7. And he said, I just don't want to call mom and dad home about you. Well, to skip the parts of the story that are actually triggering for me, he went home in a box. Oof. I went home with an empty seat next to me.
Oh, girl.
You can't imagine how devastating this was for our community in so many ways. And a lot of people were very worried about me, especially when I ran for religious vice president, his former office, the following autumn. It mattered to me not to copy what he was doing, but rather his death kind of threw some stuff into sharp focus for me. It really threw into sharp focus for me the reality of just how short life is and how important it is to make the most of it. How important it is to make the most of the precious time that we have here.
Right.
And it also sort of gave me a laser focus on just how important the gospel is. There was all this comfort that I felt from, we do not grieve like those who have no hope. For the Lord himself will come with the shout of an archangel. The dead in Christ will rise first. Just all of that was so incredibly comforting to me. And I was like, people need this. People need this. But I was still scared, even though I was like preaching on a semi-regular basis as religious vice president. I was active in Pathfinders. I had my own band of munchkins called the Cheetahs. Those girls were great. They're all old enough to be getting married now, and I'm so proud of them. They'll always be my first. I love them so much. I'm so proud of them. And I was doing all this ministry stuff, but But I was still scared because at this point I was actually aware of the discourse in Adventism about women in ministry. I actually went to a constituency meeting for Northern California because my babysitter was our school principal who had to go. And I was listening to them argue about women's ordination when I was like 15, 14, something like that. I didn't have a dog in the fight yet, but I was still like,
You're right.
So because I had actually witnessed all of that, I was even more reticent, like, and also I come from a teaching family. My grandfathers were teachers. My parents are teachers. My great aunts are teachers.
Into, right? I mean, that's something that you're familiar with.
Yeah, if you have a family profession, it's kind of a default setting to go into it.
Yeah.
It's what you know. I mean, after all, in the course of life with my parents, I got a really good crash course in education, bulletin boards and all, differentiated instruction. Yes, education people, we can chat about curriculum and development till the cows come home. So, like a coward, when it comes time to choose a major for PUC, I'm like, okay, if I do Spanish and theology, I can use that to either teach or go into pastoral ministry because both are useful either way.
Right.
So when I get to PUC, they're like, there's 2 orientations, one for each major. They're at the same time. Spanish is a very simple degree. You take a series of classes, you go to Spain or Argentina, and then you come back and you do a series of classes and you're done.
Right.
Easy. Theology is far more complicated. Go to their orientation. So I did. And at the table, there weren't very many people. There were less than 5 of us. And I realized, oh my word, there are a lot more people willing to be teachers than to be pastors. And that's the point where I stopped trying to fight it quite so hard, and I committed to it.
God knew what was up, girl. He was setting you up this whole time. He was like, I'm gonna get her.
Yeah.
As soon as she gets to that orientation, she's gonna know my calling. But Jillian, I'm surprised it took you so long because when you hear a voice from heaven, that I'm not judging, but that may be enough for me as a simple human being. When God speaks.
Look, I deliberately don't share that story very often because A, I don't want people to think I'm crazy for hearing voices, but B, because it's not a compliment to hear a voice. God resorts to things like voices when you're too thick for him to get through to you any other way.
Right. I hear that. Oh man, that's a fantastic series of events that happened in your life, some very tragic while others very tangible, to lead you into ministry. And I'm glad you listened, Jillian. I don't know what the Lord had to do next if you didn't take the hint. I don't know. Maybe the second coming would have happened already had you not taken it. He might have had to come back himself to straighten this out. So
well, he needs a whole army, and while the individual, he needs more of us to say yes. He needs more people to say yes, to deal with the fear and say yes. It doesn't hinge on one person, but it hinges on multiple people saying yes.
Ooh, girl, that right there is worth our time. For if you are watching on, I am with Elder Jillian Lutes, and she just spat some fire right here. We need more people to say yes. Would you say yes to the Lord? Stop running from him. A few weeks ago, Pastor Damian Chandler said it like this. He said, too many of us are in love with our Tarshish to take on God's calling to Nineveh, right? So we got to be careful. Whatever your Tarshish is to you, whatever your comfort place, wherever you feel most relegated to be in, but God's calling you somewhere else, you got to be courageous and say yes. Jillian, I'm glad you said yes. Now, how long have you been ordained now? You're too wise.
So I got ordained in November.
November of 2016.
I got ordained in November. November of 2020, in the
Yeah.
heart of the pandemic.
What a time! What a time to do ordination. Many people say
Yeah.
being ordained is like your wedding or something that important. And so, there are people who chose to get married during the pandemic because it was cheaper, and then they didn't have to invite people they didn't want. So, was that your reasoning for getting ordained? It was cheaper and you didn't want anybody to come?
Well, if you compare it to a wedding, it is kind of the equivalent of eloping. And because I had a huge wedding, and I mean huge, 700 people were invited and 400 turned up. And I had four wedding showers.
Right.
I mean, I was inundated with all the love.
Yeah.
So I felt like I already had that one big life event where you're at the center of attention. And I feel like marriage is a rite of passage that actually warrants that. But ordination, I've always had funny feelings about because, as Sarah said on the show a couple weeks ago, the thing we call ordination is the Bible, but it's not a one-to-one comparison, what we do and what happens in the Bible by any means. I still consider my ordination as an elder at Alhambra with very little fuss in the middle of a church service nearly 10 years ago to be the more biblical one, because that's actually when I started. That's actually when I began my profession as a minister. But I also did it that way because I felt like there needed to be one good thing about 2020.
Ooh, that's nice.
It had been such a dark year and needed one good thing. And I was starting to get a little bit nervous too about, I had been approved for ordination for a good 6 months. And I was like, so how long am I going to sit here being an administrative problem to the folks at the conference office who don't like people sitting in limbo anyway?
Yeah.
And I had always kind of dreaded to some degree, just if my wedding was, 400 people, and that was putting us in Northern California instead of here, where all of my former church members are hanging out and Christian Edition and people who watched me grow up down here, I'm like, do I really want to? Okay. I'm going to directly address all of you who are disappointed about not having been able to be there. I'm so sorry. I did try to stick it out as long as I could for your sake.
Yeah.
But it actually was less stressful and simpler to do it this way. I love you, and I was willing to wait for you. But
It's not you. It's me. It's not you.
right.
But
I've grown more and more fond of simplicity as I've aged.
I completely agree with you with that sentiment. And during the pandemic, we didn't know how to respond to it either. Because are we allowed to come? Are we not allowed to? You know how it was. There's all kinds of restrictions and things that were happening. So it's not an easy time to do something, but it's a more simplified time to do something. And you got it done, and so you're ordained now. It's almost been a full year of ordination. Has anything tangibly changed for you since you've been ordained? Has the halo gotten brighter, maybe, or Oh, Jill, are you there?
So your audio is cutting in and out for me, but I know what question you were asking.
Yeah.
The one thing that's tangibly changed for me is that every once in a while someone calls me elder. That's the one tangible thing. Otherwise, it's more of just, it was a feeling of relief of this very long process being completed. Like, okay. Now I don't have that thing hanging over my head, and I can go about and do ministry with as little distraction, with one less distraction from it. Yeah. That said, the preordination classes were pretty sweet. I loved the books that they gave us. But I was getting to the point where I was like, 5-hour meeting, and I think I learned this in a different preordained meeting, it has been good getting the affirmation from some quarters. And it's been surprising where it's come from in some places. I received a letter from someone I've never met in a different church who was supportive. And there was actually, growing up in Northern California, I had a friend named Caroline whose parents and my parents, we did a lot of stuff together. And you could say that they kind of co-parented us as one family. And my Caroline's mother told me that her sister had felt the call to ministry decades ago and hadn't been able to get an actual call to work in it.
Wow.
And that meant a lot to me, was that. But probably the most special moment since being ordained was being able to lay a hand on Sarah while she was.
Yeah,
I think
that was
her
really cool.
Ordination actually emotionally meant more to me than my own in some ways.
Well, it was powerful being up there and witnessing that experience, to have others who have gone through this experience already and lay their hands on someone who, you recognize the similarity of challenges. You'll recognize the similarity of success and things like that. And that was beautiful. So that's awesome. Was there anything since you've been ordained that you have found that's been like more challenging?
I wouldn't link it to ordination, but just to the nature of this particular year. COVID has been an immense challenge. It is my sincere desire to keep the family together.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do right now in our polarized climate.
Man, that's tough.
Really hard to do. And, with this transition, I had my grieving moments of both grieving my senior pastor as a person. He's grown on me. I've grown accustomed to his face, and also realizing that I'm going to have to set some of my favorite things aside to focus more fully on these lead pastor tasks. There was a grieving process there, but I feel like that part of things has gone more smoothly than I anticipated.
That is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now you're an ordained minister of the gospel, so you are Elder Jillian Lutes. I know that every event I go to as a pastor, especially on Sabbath, I gotta throw something on me. And generally in life,
Yes.
well, except this past year, maybe like where we've only been half dressed from the top up. But generally in life, men probably we're going someplace, we just throw clothes on and we go, and women have to be a little bit more thoughtful about how they're going to present themselves into like the general population. As a female minister, take us through the rigors of having to prepare yourself, getting dressed and all that, because, we don't get it. Some people don't get it. What's it like, Jillian?
All right. So let me tell you something. When I was first starting out, I would give myself 2 hours to get ready.
Woo, 2 hours, mercy.
Not because it actually took that long to put on clothes and dash some makeup on, but because I would change so many times, trying to figure out what would work best. It was nuts. I've grown more comfortable in my own skin since then, but here's the maddening thing. There are a lot of different Adventist rules about how women should present themselves. In some places, no makeup. In other places, makeup practically obligatory.
Yeah.
In some places, no slacks.
No pants. Yep.
In other places, yeah. In some places, no heels. In other places, heels recommended. In some places, wedding ring. How dare you? Okay. Just let me throw this out here for a moment. This wedding ring protects my marriage.
Preach.
This is about my marriage. This is not adornment. This is saying I adore my husband, so
Ooh, I like
you
that.
can't have him and you can't have me.
Nice,
This is
nice.
about giving an honest witness to the world that I
Hello.
am married and not ashamed of it.
Yeah. Hey,
but
let's
there are-
pause there for a quick second. I want to say something.
Yeah.
Because I want to show you my wedding ring. I don't know if have you seen my wedding ring? Have you seen this?
I'm
bad
not
boy?
sure I have recently.
I don't know that
yeah.
that rubber should be considered adornment. It's not the most adoring thing in the world. You know what I mean? This thing is
Yeah.
probably like I think I got my wife got it for me for like $1.50. It's because she has inscribed something on there.
So yeah, there's a certain amount of angst in getting dressed, and the thing I've been slowly peeling away layer by layer is to dress for what makes me feel good in the pulpit instead of trying to second guess what everyone's thinking out there. And it's hard not to do because, especially during the pandemic, it seemed, I felt like every time I preached, I got more comments about what I was wearing than what I said.
Wow. Talk about devaluation of somebody's gifts.
Well, a part of it is just a feature of female culture in that to bolster each other, is we all compliment something that the other person's wearing before we move on with the conversation.
Got it.
It's kind of ingrained. There's a shadow side to that in some circles. I was told off by a member once for wearing slacks instead of skirts.
You should have yelled him off for wearing slacks. You know what? Shame on me for just supposing
It was a
he,
her.
Right?
I've actually found that men, for the most part, as long as you're dressed modestly, they're fine. It's women who are picky about this stuff.
It's true, man. That's there are people who still care very much, and it tends not always, but it tends to be females who have a harder time with females wearing slacks up front.
Yeah.
I know for a long time my mom had a real difficult time about that, herself. She's from the old world. She's from the old country. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. So about 2 hours. 2 hours of prep time. Of dress. It's about 2 hours of dress and prep time. Then about 2 hours.
It was back then. Yeah, I've cut that in half now. I spend that now the way I spend the first hour is actually getting my devotions in, getting a good breakfast.
Nice.
And getting some exercise before the crazy of the day can settle in.
Ooh, wow. Okay. There it is. Well, you guys should get double ordained for all the work you have to do in preparation prior to having to actually get up front. So here's another question for you. As an ordained minister of the gospel, you are an ordained minister of the gospel, and yet you're female, and you're still considered a young adult in ministry. You're an interim lead pastor at a very, it's a good sized congregation.
586 according to last night's clerk's report.
That is nothing to bat an eye at. That's quite a bit. And you're kind of soloing that. Are there challenges because of the compounded views that people may have of you as a female lead pastor who is also a young adult?
So, okay, back when you were asking about challenges after getting ordained, there was one tied to that. There are a couple of people in my church who have never been happy that I am a lady in ministry and were especially unhappy when I got ordained. And there was one man who I was waiting to preach and listening to him give the prayer for the service. And he actually opened his prayer. He said, in the body of the prayer, in a church service, unfortunately, Jillian is preaching today.
No!
We don't know why.
No!
Yes!
You, sir, shame on you! What? Oh, mercy!
And I tell you, I did not preach very well for that service because my brain shook up just a tad.
Absolutely.
Oh, and he went on to say something to the effect of, "May she preach words from God instead of words of her own cleverness."
Oh, wow. Wow.
That was a rough time. That was a really
Whoa.
rough time.
Ah, man. It's like when, like when you cut an onion open and you're just like burning, like, whoa. And then you had to preach after that.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Girl, I hope you had some
and this was
snide-
still a
snide
phase of the
remark.
pandemic where we were face to face but in masks. So looking at those eyes and not having mouths to give a clue as to further expression, like, does everyone feel this way?
Oh. Don't let the hang-ups of a few speak for the majority.
Thanks.
Wow. Woo! So I know that I asked you this question earlier, and we actually spent some time, and we kind of went in a slightly different direction. I want to talk about sizism a little bit. You obviously have been doing something different during this pandemic. I don't know if it's a new hairdo, maybe it's that new shirt. Something has changed about you over this past 15 years. Why don't we talk about that and how that in itself has affected ministry as well from your perspective?
All right. So once upon a time, I was a tiny 21-year-old pastor. I'll just put it out there. I looked good. Okay. I was.
Hey, praise the Lord. That's all glory to God, right?
Yeah. And then I got married,
Yep.
and I went to Michigan,
Yep.
and I ate a poverty diet, and
Yep.
I baked cupcakes to
Hello.
comfort myself in the Michigan winter. And, I let myself go.
Right.
I let myself go to the tune of a good, 100 pounds. So around 2019, I was 240 pounds.
Woo.
Yeah. And since 2019, I have lost about 80 or 90 of that.
Nice.
And the actual turning point for me was I was accompanying some of the kids from the school at outdoor school, and I used to love climbing walls. You just heard me mention that my brother and I hiked a lot when we were young.
Yeah.
Okay, so climbing, outdoor sports were a huge part of growing up. And so I was at outdoor school, and there was a climbing wall, and I couldn't lift my own body weight anymore. And that just crushed me inside far more than anything to do with appearances. And that was a wake-up call for me. Later that summer, we had Oshkosh, and I got heat stroke so bad that I baptized my kid forwards instead of backwards.
Oh. Wow.
And I was like, okay, this has nothing to do with appearance. I need to lose my weight so that I can keep up with my kids. I need to lose this weight so that I can actually do all the things in ministry I want to do.
Yeah.
So I can be the kind of youth pastor I want to be, so I can actually be involved in their lives. They're on the ground doing the things that are fun,
Yeah.
And so I did.
Congratulations.
And so, thank you.
It takes work, and this isn't about.
It does.
This isn't about just appearance, or superfluous reasons. This is really about health and caring for yourself and longevity. So, please, anyone, if you're watching us, I want you to know this isn't a put down on any of us or you. This isn't about you trying to look a certain way. This is just about making sure that we maintain and care for ourselves in a good, proper way, because it helps us overall, holistically. So great work, Jillian. You were amazing before you lost the weight, but good on you for the longevity of your health and your professional and personal life.
Yeah, but let's talk sizism for a moment.
Yeah,
let's talk about this for a moment.
You found something interesting inadvertently or unintentionally as you were going through this, right?
Yes. So when I was at Alhambra, I started at 21 years old. It doesn't get any younger and more baby-faced than that.
Yeah.
And I was a lady, and I felt pretty well respected there. I felt while there were one or two grumblers, there are in every church, I felt pretty well respected there. I feel reasonably well respected as a professional here. where people are not the nicest is where there is actually an issue that's not about my being female for the most part. That's what I sense at the moment anyhow. There could be people going, why do we have a girl interim lead pastor? Okay. What people do behind my back is not my business. It's taken me a long time to be able to go about that. But I feel like I was less respected when I was heavier. I really feel like I had less of a voice when I was heavier. Like I was judged more harshly about a number of things when I was heavier. And I really want to throw out there that if you are struggling with your weight, you are beautiful. It is not your size that defines you.
Yes.
And it is a shallow culture. It is a shallow culture that tries to say that I'm somehow a better person because I'm skinny now. I didn't do this. The only way I was able to do this was when I finally was able to stop being ashamed of my large body.
Right.
Because there's especially attached to women, there's all this shame that's attached to being heavier. And it doesn't help with, sometimes we have a toxic version of our Adventist health message. Is it healthy to lose weight? Sure. But if we're not close, you don't have a right to walk up to me and tell me how my back problems are because I'm too heavy. You may be right about that, but doing that in public right there, that's not going to help your case.
Not at all.
Even just going, well, if you lost weight, nagging someone about weight loss isn't going to help them. Shaming someone into weight loss isn't going to help them.
No.
And sometimes I hear people under the guise of our health message, which has great content in it. Like a lot of what helped me lose weight was a byproduct of the Adventist health message.
Hey.
But there's a shadow side to it where we so often fat shame people. Sometimes people who got there not because of a lack of self-control, but because of other factors like sedentary occupation or genetic predisposition, maybe all those potlucks where everyone only brings sugar and carbs. I tell you, it's been easier to lose weight during the pandemic than it would be during ordinary church life because, okay, graduation week, cake with this graduation, cake with that graduation, sweets with Pathfinder investiture. You know, it's social eating is hard.
Woo. It's a tough one. It's tough.
Yeah.
But we got to stay away from shaming. I mean, there's a real issue here with that. And I think that oftentimes, much like other issues, we don't give enough value to an individual because of the way they look. This is not just you feeling that way. This is actual studies. This research on this, deep research.
Yeah.
So we've got to be careful about that kind of stuff. And the validity that we give somebody, we've got to be careful to make sure that we don't remove that by foolish things that we say. Like you were saying, if you don't know me or if you're not my doctor, you shouldn't be coming up to me, speaking to me about these issues. And as Christians, I think that should be just a general rule. If we're not willing to take the time to know someone, don't speak to their stuff because you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Some people gain weight on medications completely out of their control.
Yeah.
Or are recovering from surgery and can't exercise. You know, don't lose weight to matter. Lose weight because you matter.
Oh, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Elder Jillian Lutes pulling another one out the pocket. Don't lose weight to matter. Lose weight because you do matter. And like it. Oh, man, that's good. That's good. That's good. And we need to work on that. There's a lot of things in our church we need to work on. A lot of things. Because when we say that God loves the world and that we are a loving church, we don't say it out loud, but the things that we do practically in our church sometimes does not speak to us as a loving people. And if we're going to be serious about that kind of theology, we got to be serious about its praxis, because if there's no praxis, there's no real theology there, my friends. Ooh, good. Jillian, don't take us to such deep waters, girl. That was nice. So we've got to do our 3, 2, 1 hacks before our time is up.
All right.
Jillian, if you don't mind, let's hit that right now. And this is our time where we do some educational value. We're going to give you some valuable tips, practical, that you could do right now as soon as you click off on this episode, and it will help transform some of the things that you're going through. So, Jill, give me 3 tips, since we've just been talking about health and getting healthier. Give us 3 tips on how to get rid of those pandemic pounds.
All right. So 3 things: motivation, perspiration, hydration.
Ooh.
So in motivation, you gotta have a better reason than looking good.
Woo.
You just do.
You do.
It needs to be centered in something deeper than looking good or pleasing your doctor or pleasing someone else. What is it that you want to do with a healthier body? What motivates you? Is it because you want more years with your grandkids? Is it because you want to if you want to go rock climbing? Is it because you want to climb mountains? Is it because you want to, give yourself what you want to do? Ladies, is it because you want to be able to wear heels and feel the power of wearing heels without it hurting so much? I tell you, that was one of the happiest side effects of this thing, was being able to wear heels again without it hurting.
Oh, yeah.
So that's motivation. Perspiration. All right. Everyone rags on and on and on about diet, but I can tell you that after a certain point, diet doesn't do diddly squat. You gotta exercise. And the easy part of this is the walking. Yes, do that. But the plateau buster, because everyone reaches those weight loss plateaus where you've been losing steadily and then bam, nothing. What busts that is strength and resistance training.
Hello.
It's less. Yeah, it involves being way more intentional than the walking and motion stuff. But it pays off. I mean, start easy. If you can't even do 1 push-up, start with a modified push-up. Meet yourself where you're at. Give yourself recovery time. But putting those muscles to work and building them up, it helps accelerate the process for everything else you do. You burn more. Muscle burns more calories than fat. So that perspiration really matters. And hydration. Hydration.
And hydration.
Yeah. Start where you are. Hydration. This may surprise you, but you actually lose weight faster when you drink more. There's a couple of reasons for this. One of the big ones is your body stops retaining water. It also, so often we mistake thirst for hunger. So when we actually drink enough, we find ourselves less tempted to, really go overboard on whatever.
So true.
And, I've found that hydrating better improves my quality of sleep, which is also a big part of this.
Let me ask you, when you say that, so then are we talking about getting in another 6-pack of grape Fanta? Is that what you're talking about? More apple juice in my life?
Okay, so soda actually dehydrates you a little bit. Sorry, folks. Mexican Coke is a delicious dessert that I can't have anymore for entirely different reasons. But it doesn't really hydrate you all that much. Water, juice, milk, tea, even coffee if you're a habitual drinker. There are apps that sort of factor in, what percentages of that actually counts.
Right.
The other thing the apps are good for is that, okay, when we're in school, what do they teach us about how much water to drink each day?
8 glasses, is it?
Yeah, 8 glasses. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's what they tell us. Right. Even for a tiny person, that's probably not enough for living here in Los Angeles during a heat wave. But B, if you are a larger person, you actually need more water. What you actually need is if you take your weight in pounds, cut that in half and turn it into ounces, that's what you actually need.
Girl, I would drown if I had to drink that many ounces of water. No, I'm playing.
Right?
That's a lot of good
But
wine.
try it. It feels amazing. I had a come to Jesus moment with this when our former treasurer, Orville Ortiz, told us how working at the conference office, he didn't hydrate properly. And so you remember the story?
Yeah.
And so he had a heart attack when he went to exercise because he wasn't properly hydrated. So I actually found one of those water apps and realized that as a larger person, I was supposed to be drinking far more water than I was. And that's sort of, that helped me a ton.
Ooh, so good. Ooh, that's a good word right there, sister. Thank you very much. All right, so that's what we had. Motivation, perspiration, hydration. Let's go to our second one here. Give us 2 tips on being an effective minister. Give it to us, Elder.
All right. Know your center and stick to it.
Ooh,
if you're noticing one theme behind all of these disparate topics, it's that social pressure messes with us in a number of ways. And if you try to live your life in such a way that you're always trying to please people, you will fail. It is scientifically impossible to please everyone. And you definitely cannot do that in ministry. You can't.
No ways.
Largely because you can't control other people.
That's right.
So you can't control what they think of you. You can't control what they do. The only person that you can actually make decisions for is yourself. So if you know your center, what is the core thing or things that matter to you? It took a lot of sorting out, but to me that is Jesus lifted up and youth. Make decisions based on that. Stick to those priorities and don't let the winds of social pressure cause you to back down from them. Don't let it lose your focus. Our churches tend to do a lot of things that are not bad, but not effective.
Right.
Where with even just a little bit more intentionality, they could actually be really amazing. Just a little bit more intentionality. Like, a common thing is, well, we've got to do a potluck because we've always done potlucks. Okay. Now how are you going to take that potluck and actually turn it into, be intentional about making it a community building exercise or a Pathfinder club or a women's tea or, insert your thing here. And if you can't come up with a reason for the ministry or program beyond, we need fun.
Yeah.
But how many of us find ourselves wasting time, energy, or money on things that we can't actually cough up a good reason for other than completion issues? I mean, how often have you finished a movie you think is terrible just because it's there?
Right. Every time.
I'm just saying. Or kept going to something that's really not doing anything for you because it's there.
Right. Oh, man. Wow, that's really good. So we're going to summarize this. Your first 3 tips for exercise and losing weight is motivation, perspiration, hydration.
Yes.
Give us 2 tips for ministry is
know your center,
and stay focused. And then your last one on personal growth is
live intentionally.
You actually said another one was really good. You said own your choices.
Yes.
Own your choices. Man, super good.
Yeah.
Super good. That was a bonus. That was a pro tip for those of you who might be catching this. I'm with Elder Jillian Lutes, and we are rounding out our time. Jillian, we're going to do our love one, leave one here to close out our time together. You down to do this with me?
Woo! I love this game.
I know, you're so good at it, actually. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm gonna line this up so that we can see the timer, and that should happen right there. Boom. Okay. Now, I'm going to click on this guy, and then we're going to go. You know the rules of this game. Real simple. I'm going to give
yes.
you two options.
Yes.
We're going to have a minute and a half, and you have to choose which one you love and which one you leave behind. Whatever you leave behind
All right.
disappears forever, Jillian. No one can ever use it again.
All right.
Okay, so don't mess up.
All right.
Because that's pressure. Pressure.
Oh, the pressure.
Okay, so here we
But
go.
I'm gonna own my choices.
You're gonna have to own your choices, my girl. Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Ready? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Start the timer. Okay, a tantalizing sermon or a riveting orchestra? You can only have one.
I feel like a terrible person. Okay, tantalizing sermon. I'm not selfish.
Oh, orchestra's gone forever. No orchestras, anybody. You heard it right here.
Sorry,
from Jillian
Dad.
Lutes.
My dad's a music teacher.
Literature or art? One's got to go forever.
Literature is a subset of art, so literature
I know.
has to go.
Oh, okay. I see what you did right there. That's good. Okay, skinny jeans or mom jeans? One of those jeans got to go. Skinny jeans, millennials.
I like skinny jeans.
Mom jeans.
I'm gonna keep the skinny jeans.
Bye, Gen Zers. You're out of here. Okay, CPK
What?
or Cheesecake Factory?
Oh, CPK's got to stay.
Oh, okay. We're keeping CPK. All right. Long hair or short hair?
Short hair is long hair in progress. Just saying.
Nice. I like the way you did that. Gussied up on.
I'd rather keep long if I had to choose.
Okay. All right. Good. Gussied up on the town or bumming it at home?
Depends on the day, so bumming it at home, I'll keep.
All right. All fruits or all vegetables? One of them's got to go. Quickly. One of them's got to go.
Ooh, keep the fruit. Keep the fruit.
All right. We give it to you, my girl. All right.
The fruit. Keep the fruit.
If you joined us, I have been hanging out with Jillian Lutes, pastor, human, passionate lover of Christ, community connector, wife, sister, daughter, and friend. And I just wanted to thank you so much, Jillian, for spending your time with me this afternoon as we talked about nonsense and we talked about good sense and life. Thank you so much, Jill. We're going to be closing out our time this week, and I'm going to let Jillian close us out this week. So, Jillian, share a few words for our closing here with those who might be catching this with us.
Well, I would just like to encourage you that this time in the pandemic is like coming out of the ark. You know, there's going to be some frustrations. Some stuff won't go as quickly as you'd like it to go. Be kind to your leaders. Be kind to them. They're trying to figure out what's best for everyone. But also from the ark, I just want to encourage you, you know, there's that rainbow of promise that God wouldn't destroy the earth again. And Noah has this beautiful sacrifice of thanksgiving. For every fresh thing that we are able to do, let's celebrate. Let's rejoice at the in-person graduation we didn't have last year. Let's rejoice if we can sing in our churches again. Let's not miss these small wins just because things aren't moving as quickly as we would like them to.
Wow. In its due season, Jillian, again, thank you so much for those inspiring words. For all of you, my friends, thank you for having come along with us this past 15 months. I know we've got one more Tuesday tea time together, and that's next week before we take our summer break. So until that Tuesday, I want to remind you to stay blessed, stay healthy, be good, be safe, and we'll catch up with you all next Tuesday. Thanks again, Jillian, for being with us this week. Peace.
Thank you, Ricky.